Is pretty important that, you know, your own training. How important do you think it is that referees and judges and everybody else that determines outcomes of fights actually train? You know, I think a lot of people, I don't want to say armchair quarterbacks, but think they can come in there and do the job, but in order to stop a Tim Sylvia or somebody else, you have to recognize positions. You have to have trained in certain situations that gives you, I think, a leg up. And do you still train?
I'll be honest with you, Herb runs a referees and judges school. John McCarthy has one, and both schools have pretty much a 70% failure rate to it. Not because they're not good instructors, it's that hard to get in now. The tests are very, I mean, we've had jiu-jitsu black belts come in and fail the test.
Wow.
Why? Because there's more to it than just what you know. It's evolved on the judging and referee level. Herb's at the top end of it. You got to realize, being members of the California State Athletic Commission, we're required to go to seminars twice a year, every 6 months. John McCarthy, Herb Dean, Cecil People, Doc Hamilton, Josh Rosenthal, who all live in California, top refs in the United States, are required to do this training twice a year. Plus, we go through camel training, the amateurs, twice a year. So we do 4 seminars a year. We see each other 4 times a year at seminars that last almost all day, and we get new information, new videos, we talk, we break down after fights. Herb and I take this serious. We have fun at this, but we have called each other to talk about things that have happened, what could have been done better, what do you think of this, what do you think of that? Because mistakes that I made in the past, when I first started off without anybody to guide me, I didn't want Herb to make, because he was basically the person under my wing. I've only brought 2 people into this industry, Herb Dean and Mike Beltran. They're the only 2 I brought in. I've tried with other people and I wasn't confident with them. I made 2 good choices, 2 really good choices in bringing 2 people in, and along the way, the mistakes I made sure I overemphasized they wouldn't make the same mistakes. So,
well, I definitely want to thank Larry for that. I mean, this is a guy who I think a lot of people don't know what he's done for the sport. First of all, that's a good question, and I want to talk to you about my MMA referee school and what I like doing. I love doing this. It's the funnest job in the world. I love my job. I get to go all over the world and referee the funnest fights. I get to be around the best athletes because I think this is the best sport on earth.
Yeah.
Definitely, one of the things about my referee school that we definitely do is we make sure that, well, there's 2 reasons why people take the course. One is people take it for their own education. They want to have a good time, and that's fun for a lot of people, like you guys. Everyone's here to learn about fitness today. You know, a lot of people are at home and they're probably drunk by now, and that's their idea of how to spend a Saturday or a Sunday. You know, there's us who like to come out here and exchange information and learn about things. That's what we call a good time. So there's people like that who come and take my course. The other people are those who are seeking certification. If you're seeking certification, there is screening. There's a written test, and then also the fun part about it is you get to teach me technique to demonstrate your knowledge of mixed martial arts. I love it. I get to learn new things, and what we're looking for is people to demonstrate a complete game and having an understanding of this sport. Because how can you make those decisions like recognize an intelligent defense if you don't know what your defense would be? You know, someone might turtle up to escape a position, and I've seen referees stop that because they just thought the guy was done. Or how can you, when someone's locked out and they're giving up, it's your job for that next 2 seconds to provide them with submission defense. How can you do submission defense for someone else if you haven't learned to do it yourself? And I can't teach someone what it took Larry like 10 years to teach me. So as far as about martial arts, so I'm just there to make sure that they have learned that somewhere else, and that's part of the screening to help keep the athletes safe, because it's a fun job and it's a great job, but at the same time it's a very serious job. Serious consequences come from a mistake in it. Losing a game like this is not like losing a game of ping pong. You walk out of there differently in a matter of seconds. So it's something that I'm passionate about. It's a sacred trust, and one of the things that I do to protect that is have some screening in my course. Is there any other questions?
Two-time referee of the year, and still seeks out knowledge. To answer your question, you know, this is something we do not take lightly. It's not all fun and games. We have a great time. Trust me, if fast enough to get the phone number of every ring girl, I would do it, but I have to, you know, I'm not that fast. We do take this serious.
Thanks, guys, for giving us such great insights into reffing. Just want to know what you think your role is in terms of the judging. If the judges would ever take into consideration your input in the judging, because you're there, you have the best point of view in the entire cage. And
yeah,
what would you
I like
tell,
to hit that one too.
What would you tell Keith Kaiser and the other athletic commissions? How would you improve the judging? I know you have a lot of great insight.
You know, we are working on that, and please understand that a lot of times that people see a fight on TV, and because of commentary, they're led to believe certain things. We turn off the volume when we watch these fights at our training. You see a different fight. The person you really think wins the fight that everybody's mad about, you see a totally different fight when you remove the alcohol, turn off the sound, and watch that fight and judge it based on the criteria we have. If you understand the criteria, some of those decisions will make more sense. But then, yes, we do know there are problems. We are working on them, and I'll let Herb talk about that.
Well, first of all, both of us do judge. And at the MMA referee school, we also do judging. All referees, especially in California, are required to fill in for judges. So often you get to an event, there'll be 2 judges, then the referees rotate in, filling that other 3rd judge spot. As far as for judging the fight while refereeing, it's not one, I think, MMA, because of how quickly damage can happen. We're usually so focused on our job as far as safety is concerned that we really don't have a very clear idea of who's winning a very close fight. Of course, if it's the usual 10-9 round, we have a pretty good idea. But when it comes to something like that, just as we're focused all our entire attention on that, the judges, that's what they're focusing their attention on. So I wouldn't really have any input with that. But I would tell you that it is, it's a lot more difficult than it seems. First of all, you know what's really difficult is to concentrate for that long without a random thought coming into your mind, or without thinking about constantly evaluating the performance of those 2 athletes. So it's a little bit more difficult than it seems. But thank you for that question, and that's something that we're always working on, is the officiating of the sport. And Keith Kaiser and the other commissioners, we're always in communication. And we call them on Monday.
I'll be honest with you, living in California, we have one of the best commissioners probably in the United States. The commissioner we had before, I've seen him twice in my whole lifetime. This guy we see almost every month on the Him or Che Guevara, because they care about this sport. They show up to amateur fights. What's going on? Who's this guy? How long has he been reffing? How long has he been judging? They're asking these questions. They want to know who the amateur refs are and who the amateur judges are, because someday they will be pro. And when they go to pro fights, they watch and they listen, and we see them more than I've seen any commissioner in my whole life, to be honest with you. They live in Sacramento. They either drive or fly out here very, very often to local small shows, 200, 300 seat venues. They show up to these shows, not just the big shows. They show up to the small shows because they care, because they really care. This is something that we all take very serious. We realize it. Like I say, I can't tell you how many times Herb and I have called each other just to talk about a fight. Hey, this happened. What do you think about this? What would you do in this situation? Something new comes up. Somebody does something that kind of bends the rules a little. We talk about it. How would you do this? How would you do that? Do you think I did it right? Do you think I did it right? Blah, blah, blah. We're constantly always almost critiquing our performances and asking for the other's opinion on it, because we wish to improve upon it at all times.
Because it's a new sport. But thank you guys for sitting here and listening to us talk about something as dry as officiating the sport. We got some big excitement coming up for you next. The bar hogs, we're going to get out of the way. Big room for those guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
God bless. Thank you. Thank you.